Hello, hello. Am I streaming? Am I streaming? I think so. Not sure. Streaming. I hope. Tweet. Okay, I am. Hello, hello. On Twitter, lol, and also on YouTube. Let's get the YouTube link. And also YouTube, sharing the link. I'm reading chat here. Boom. Okay. So, first, well, I'm going to as I said, I'm going to be reading other people's advice. I hope this works, by the way. I'm not going to check because I'm not sure if I can. Like it doesn't work, but I hope it works. And if it doesn't, oh well, it's on YouTube. But yeah. So basically, I'm going to be reading this thread. Which has all of these blog posts of advice. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about random stuff on my life. I'm going to pull up chat and all of this in case anyone is interacting. Don't think so, but yeah, no one is. Yeah, I'm trying to see if Twitter works, but it doesn't seem like it does. But okay, sorry. I'm not sure how to fix it. According to OBS, it's working, so. I'm going to write it something like tell me if it works or something. Works or doesn't work. And yeah, okay, basically I wanted to talk about these bookmarks about reading advice, and then before that I wanted to talk about kind of this tweet and what I'm trying to do, right? This is the tweet. I think 2024 is the year I increase my power level over a big number of domains, but in small amounts. Money, music, coding, building, writing, videos, reading. And there is this. I just watched a YouTube video, this one, which is a book club, and I think I'm going to follow it. The book is this one called Klaus and Lucas, and I'm going to be reading the Spanish version. Apparently it's a book that's translated in French. I was trying to send it to my Kindle, downloading it pirated, but if it doesn't work, I'll probably just buy the book. But yeah, since the authors are dead, I don't think it's important. Sorry. So I would prefer if, yeah, okay, I think it downloaded. So let's see if it works. Apparently it did work. No, fuck. And yeah, I liked this stream. I always liked when he talks. He talks about books in this stream, and he usually talks about books because he reads a lot, which is interesting. I think it's a good reference to have. And a lot of the books that I read this year have been because of him. And for example, this one is a book that I read because of him, and I really like the book. And it was long, right? It was like 1,200 pages. And I took a long time to read it. I think like several months, not straight reading it, but I took a long time to read just this one book, right? So these are some things that I have to take into account. For this tweet, right? I have to really emphasize the small amounts thing, because this book I started in May and ended it in, I don't know, maybe September. I forgot. But yeah, it took a long time, right? But I did like it, and I finished it, and I did get some sense of accomplishment out of that, even though I probably shouldn't have, because it's just entertainment or something. But I don't know, I liked it. And I think that if I want to write stuff online, I have to read stuff as well, right? And I think reading long stuff is decent, right? It's decent practice. Then I've read shorter stuff, and I think I read this one pretty quickly in a couple of days, and it is 200 pages with this kind of big font. So this book, which is 400 pages, $5,000 Amazon positions, as they call it here. This one. Let's see what happens, right? I'm going to try to attempt to read this in 4 days. I have 4 days to read this, because the book club is on Sunday. I think Sunday afternoon, so I do have Sunday. I have today, aka tonight, Friday, Saturday, and some like Sunday morning. So yeah, I will be reading this book until Sunday, and I'll see if I can finish it. Let's and do that. I'm going to postpone the books that are being said. And yeah, hello to the person who is here, who has been here for 7 minutes, I think. I was not reading chat because I had something else on the other monitor, but now I do have. And yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. And yeah, that's basically it. I want to... So, I have talked about the books thing. Let's talk a little bit about the other stuff on the tweet, right? Reading is the last one. Videos, writing, coding, building, music, and money. I think money is the one that I'm worried the most. This is why I posted here this thing. Hope I'm the wrongest about the money part, and I do make huge amounts of money somewhat. I do want to make some fucking money this year, so I can do the other things, right? That's the problem. That it's because if I can't do the other things and I don't need to make money for that, it's kind of bad, because it gets me into this bad habit of doing the things that I want but not sustaining myself, which is kind of bad. And my parents are like, you should get a job in whatever. My mom is already, even if you have to get a McDonald's job, you have to do it, right? But my mom is not authoritative like that, so I can dismiss the advice, but I can't completely ignore it, right? But yeah, I also have to realize that I'm going to be spread thin. The music thing, I was playing some stuff on guitar yesterday on stream. Today I'm not sure if I'm going to do that because I'm not sure if it will be useful for anything. Coding, building, I'm not sure if I will do a lot, but I'm kind of manifesting it, right? I'm saying this is on the realm of possibility. I may do this. Videos, I think this streaming type thing counts as videos, but I also want to make more elaborate ones. Like, I want to, consider packaging more, a little bit. Not just expression, right? This live streaming thing for me is kind of expression. But I think writing and videos are somewhat correlated, and I do want to package these things, right? Maybe reading as well goes into it. I think all of these three things are something together, right? And I think coding, building is useful for videos as well. I have this video lens. I apply the video lens on everything because that's how I get exposed to stuff, right? When I see coding, I watch coding tutorials. When I see writing, it's because I have watched this, or reading, it's because I watch this guy on YouTube who talks about reading, right? So I am very minded, very coding, very this kind of, I think of everything through the video lens because that's how I kind of experience the world, right? I read because this guy on YouTube says that I read. I code because I find ideas on YouTube about what to code. And if I don't know how to code something, I look it up on YouTube. These things, right? And I think of coding and I think, okay, fuck it, well, I'm going to stream myself while I learn these coding things. Or while, you get the vibe, right? And when on the stream are we now? We are in OBS at 12 minutes. So now let's start 30 minutes. Let's start reading the advice that I promised in the title. So, yes, this is the page that I want to read. I saw this, that Oisin Moran. To me, Oisin Moran is the guy who has in his Twitter display thing how many people there are in space. To me, this is the guy. I follow him because of this, right? And this changes. So I followed him just because of this. And also he talks about interesting stuff, right? So I'm going to read his collected advice. Fuck it, let's do this. And I'm not sure if I should start with the most recent one, which would be this Kate Hall post. I know Kate because she's, I think, Sasha Chapin's wife. But she's like a separate person and like a very impressive person as that on that, which is interesting. So yeah, maybe I will start chronologically in this way. And there are some posts that I have already read. For example, the Paul Graham's How to Do Great Work I've already read. Patrick Collison's advice, I think I've read. Sam Altman's I've definitely read, and yeah, Calchumeus, aka Patio 11, I've already read as well. So yeah, it's interesting. But let's get to it. How to be more agentic. Boom. Let's set it up so that it's okay, so that you can read the screen. Hide this bar so it's less cluttered, and maybe do this. No. Okay. I often hear agency talked about as if it's an inherent trait. Either someone has it or they don't, in which case, too bad, they're doomed to a life in the minor leagues. This hasn't been my experience. Over the years, as I've gradually grown relative to my peers through a combination of aging and making smarter friends, one of the main ways I've compensated has been through dialing up my agency, which I think of as something like manifest determination to make things happen. Well, this is kind of manifest determination to make things happen. Manifest as an adjective, I assume, which is interesting. I like seeing different definitions of agency. As a result, I've done a bunch of cool stuff in different domains. I knew about this because I think Sasha tweets about it, and she tweets about it as well. I was a Supreme Court advocate and the number one female poker player in the world. Started art and perfume companies and led operations at Alvea, a pandemic medicine company I co-founded when it set the record for the fastest startup to take a drug to clinical trials. All of these things I did in my 30s. This is interesting, right? Because I'm going to be in my 30s in like 3 years. So it's interesting to hear this. And also because this is kind of something that you do observe in the real world, right? It is usually, for example, I'm thinking of David Broncano, right? This guy is kind of a TV presenter, right? He has this kind of late night show and is common. Yeah. But he was also like a relatively, like, he wasn't a pro, but he was a good football player, soccer player, right? He does a lot of sports. He's good at them, right? He always talks about it. And it is interesting, right? Like a person who is good at one thing usually is good at more things and can do those things, which I find interesting. In my way of thinking, radical agency is about finding real edges, things you are willing to do that others aren't, often because they are annoying or unpleasant. These don't always surface in awareness to the point one is actually choosing. Often they live in a cloud of aversion that strategically obscures the trade-off. The idea of finding real edges, as contrasted with eking out wins by grinding harder than everyone, first clicked for me when I started playing poker. Poker in the modern era is an extraordinarily competitive game, and even 80 years ago, pros were spending nearly as much time studying as they were playing, using solver models to seek out tiny mathematical advantages. At the same time, a massive edge was available in the form of physical reads, but almost entirely ignored. I know an example would make this more compelling, but I'm sorry, it's like explaining a magic trick. Yeah, I've seen the mathematical models thing. I follow a poker player online, a Spanish one, and he is this. Fuck it, let's do this. And he does use he has a computer that he builds exclusively for calculating these mathematical models and all of these things, right? Two friends and I maniacally studied reads together, and we all had out-of-distribution results. But when we tell other pros what we were doing, the response from most was, no, that's not a thing. They weren't willing to consider the possibility that the reads were valuable, maybe because they didn't want to feel obligated to study them. All of my agency hacks are kind of like this, in my opinion. Big, glaring edges that people might rather ignore. Court rejection. This is interesting because I do feel that someone on YouTube talks about this as well. I think it's Ali Abdaal. Ali Abdaal talks about the unfair advantage, right? A lot. Court rejection. Ask for things. Ask for things that feel unreasonable. To make sure your intuitions about what's reasonable are accurate. Of course, try not to be a jerk in the process. If you're only asking for things you get, you're not aiming high enough. Jobs are a great example. Particularly if you're early in your career, you should aim to get rejected from most things you apply for. If you have not yet learned the skill of absorbing rejection, court it deliberately. Apply for some jobs you really don't think you'll get, so you can learn to decouple no from surprise and dejection. I think I've done this, and I think that's the problem with job application advice, that most people apply wrong, right? And I apply wrong as well, but I at least aim high. That's I think the good thing, right? I aim for real fit. I really apply to something, right? And I get rejected. I have only gotten rejected so far when I have like actually applied and wasn't kind of referred in. I sent an email recently that I wouldn't have dared to try a few years ago. Something along the lines of, I'm planning to start an organization similar to yours. Would you consider letting me run yours instead? The response? Crickets. Maybe that person thinks I overstepped, but it doesn't matter because a similar pitch delivered to someone else put us on a path to start a new organization together, something much cooler than I could have managed on my own. Interesting. I like her way of framing rejection advice, right? This is not like... It feels like more nuanced and more actionable. The learning to the couple no from like surprise and dejection. This phrase has something good, right? And this is like career oriented, which is interesting to see, right? When I see the rejection advice, it's mostly towards like talking to women or something like this. I don't know. Seek real feedback. It's hard to overstate how overpowered this one is. If you aren't trying to get real feedback from people who know you, you're cooking without tasting. This is like the lowest hanging fruit for self-improvement, but few people really try to pick it. In many contexts, the way to get good feedback is to give people a way to provide it anonymously. The way anything else creates friction by layering on social dynamics. Hello, by the way. Whoever is online now. I am reading advice, as it says on the title of the video. Where was I? In many contexts, the way to get good feedback is to give people a way to provide it anonymously. Anything else creates friction by layering on social dynamics. To get honest feedback, you may find it comfortable as possible for people to give it. You will also want to make it easy to find. I have a link to my feedback form in my Twitter bio and get a few comments a week through it. I imagine resistance from some people on the grounds that anonymity frees people to be assholes, but in my experience they rarely are. 90% of what I get in my inbox is either nonsense or nice. I get lots of keep up the good work type messages. In over a year, I've gotten maybe 2 messages intended to hurt my feelings. Once in a while, I get a message that's a good punch because it calls my attention to a real issue. But then I get over it and get to work fixing the issue. I wish people gave me more feedback. I had to learn about my uptalk from YouTube comments. I don't know what uptalk is.
Okay, so I want to give you guys an example of what uptalk sounds like, both regular and in uptalk. So I'm going to read the first sentence of the Gettysburg Address in both, and you'll see what I mean. First, this will be in normal speaking voice. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now here's the uptalk version. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. There.
Lol. Okay, understood what uptalk is now. Increase your surface area for luck. The last couple times I was looking for a project, I made a point of meeting as many people doing related work as I could, even if there was no obvious benefit to doing so. At first, it was just to advertise my existence to people as I entered a new field, because someone is always hiring or looking for a co-founder. What I discovered by casting a wide net was that I have very little ability to predict how useful a call would be in advance. Relevance is easier to predict, but it's not a very good proxy for usefulness, which is a product of lots of other things, including the other person's enthusiasm and the breadth of their interests. To some extent, the more confident I am that the conversation is relevant, the less likely I am to discover something exciting during it. Nearly all of my most fruitful collaborations over the last 3 years have come out of meetings I booked almost at random. My best conversation last week was with someone where the introducer told me, "This person asked for an introduction, but I'm not sure if it's a good use of your time." Interesting. I like this vibe, but yeah, I don't know how actionable it is, right? Because when people are asking you for an introduction and they are not sure if it's good for your time, you can be gracious and accept. But if you are the one who is not useful for the other person's time, then what? Assume everything is learnable. Most subject matter is learnable, even stuff that seems really hard. But beyond that, most traits that people treat as fixed are actually quite malleable if you, 1, believe they are, and 2, put the same kind of work into learning them as you would anything else. As you might gather, I think agency itself is a good example. I learned agency late. In my teens and 20s, I occasionally made agency moves, like taking a job in a new city, to be with someone I hadn't spoke to yet. We married a few months later. But I still managed to pick a career I really disliked for no reason other than its obviousness, and only after a decade stopped to ask what I was hoping to accomplish. Many other supposedly fixed traits can likewise be altered. Some other things you can learn: confidence, charisma, warmth, tranquility, optimism. Someone recently asked me how one might go about learning charisma, and the answer was really boring. By reading a few books, watching many hours of interest of charismatic people interacting with others, and adopting a few of their habits. This is surely a plan of action most people could come up with if they didn't have the notion that charisma is innate, lodged in their heads. Whatever it is, assume it can be learned, and the task to figure out the best way to do it. And the task is to figure out the best way to do it. Learn to love the mode of low status. The mode of low status is one of my favorite concepts, courtesy of my husband, Sasha. The idea is that making changes in your life, especially when learning new skill sets, requires you to cross a mode of low status, a period of time where you are actually bad at the thing or fail to know things that are obvious to other people. It's called a mode, both because you can't just leap through to the other side, and because it gives anyone who can cross it a real advantage. It's possible to cross the mode quietly, by not asking questions and not collaborating. But those trade-offs really nerf learning. Learn by doing is standard advice, but you can't do that unless you splash around in the mode for a bit. If you can learn to thrive in the mode, it's incredibly liberating. I once played a hand in a big poker tournament so badly that there were news stories about it. I'll never entirely get over my embarrassment about the hand, but I still look back on it with great fondness, because it's when I realized that I'd crossed some threshold of unflappability. With cameras and reporters crowding around, I could have safely folded and no one would have paid attention. I chose to call, knowing it would mean certain ridicule even if I won. The call was in fact quite bad, but I made it for the wrong reason. Lol. Kate Holt returns to WPT 5 Diamond, discusses spectacular blow-up, and plans should she reach final table. Interesting. Don't work too hard. This might be the most important item on the list. For me, it's not. For me, it's probably the one I have most clear-headed. I'm most clear-headed about it. It took me almost 40 years to learn it because my instinct is to think more hours mean more productivity as long as you're really trying to be productive. That's just multiplication, right? No. The reality is that grinding, even if it temporarily increases output, kills creativity and big picture thinking. Burnout is the ultimate agency killer. This is so true that I've learned to identify a reduction of agency as one of the first signs of burnout, one that shows up even before I consciously realize what's happening. A switch flips and I start looking for ways to rule out ideas and actions to conclude they won't work or aren't necessary, rather than chasing better versions. I don't know, I think maybe I am kind of in this boat. Hello, by the way, and thank you for liking the video. I am reading advice. I took it from this list, and this is Kate Hall's How to Be More Agentic bit of advice. The days I set boundaries that would have made me ashamed at earlier points in my life. These days, I set boundaries that would have made me ashamed at earlier points in my life. I am offline at 6 p.m. almost every night and rigorously observe a Sunday Sabbath where nothing with the flavor of effort is tolerated. These will seem like small things to some people, but like a mortal sin to others in the communities I run in. My rule is never to take instructions on how hard should I work from someone who hasn't burned out before. Very few people like this take this seriously enough. Agency is the skill that built the world around you, an all-purpose life intensifier that lets you make your corner of it more like whatever you want it to be, whether that's professional, relational, aesthetic, whatever. Build a better mousetrap. Have an enviable marriage. Start a country. No one is born with it. Everyone can learn it, and it's never too late. Fuck it, let's restack it, this whatever this means. Getting better at noticing the things you don't want to do helps. They are often the same things. Like, for a long time, I ignored people saying sleep or exercise were important for mental health because I preferred not to do them, but unsurprisingly, they turned out to be quite important. Similarly, I avoided anything that might be called into working for decades. Anything that you tend to wave off with, yeah, I probably should, but it's potentially a good candidate. I don't know if jobs apply to my I probably should thing. I don't actually think I probably should get a job, right? I actually think I probably should get money and independence, but I don't think I should get a job, right? That's the problem. I hadn't thought of using lack of agency as a sign pointing to burnout, but you are so right. I've been dwelling in the land of burnout for the last few months, feeling unusually stuck and apathetic. I took 2 weeks off completely, and though it didn't magically resolve my burnout, I came back with a sudden realization that I have the power and responsibility to solve my own problems. I've been fixing things ever since. Interesting. Yeah, I liked this post. I'm going to like because I like the word abyss. Nietzsche and stuff. Okay, let's keep reading advice. Fuck it, let's bounce back and forth. I will probably end with this one. Or not, I don't know. PM archive, let's see. What's this? Fuck, this is long as hell. Fuck it, let's go. 4 users. Hello to the 4 people who are here. Thank you for the second like. I am reading advice. I have just finished Kate Hall's How to Be More Agentic stuff, and instead of going to salary negotiation because I'm not really caring about jobs right now, I've clicked the last link, which is the PMarca guide to startups, and yeah, why not to do a startup? This feels less relevant to me, so I think I'm going to skip this one and either go with this How to Do Great Work one or Patrick Collison advice. I think let's keep it PG and go with PG. So, How to Do Great Work, July 2023. If you collected lists of techniques for doing great work in a lot of different fields, what would the intersection look like? I decided to find out by making it. Partly my goal was to create a guide that could be used by someone working in any field, but I was also curious about the shape of that intersection. And one thing this exercise shows is that it does have a definite shape. It's not just a point labeled worked hard. The following recipe assumes you're very ambitious. I'm not sure if I'm very ambitious, but I am ambitious in some kind. Thank you for the third like, by the way. And fuck the people who left, but thank you to the ones that remain. Just kidding. No. Sin rencor, como decimos en español. The first step is to decide what to work on. The work, I'm bad at this. The work you choose needs to have three qualities. It has to be something you have a natural aptitude for, that you have a deep interest in, and that offers scope to do great work. In practice, you don't have to worry much about the third criterion. Ambitious people are, if anything, already too conservative about it. So all you need to do is find something you have an aptitude for and great interest in. I think videos could be something like it. But I'm not sure if I have an aptitude for it. That sounds straightforward, but it's often quite difficult. When you're young, you don't know what you're good at or what different kinds of work are like. Some kinds of work you end up doing may not even exist yet. So while some people know what they want at 14, most have to figure it out. The way to figure out what to work on is by working. If you're not sure what you to work on, guess. But pick something and get going. You'll probably guess wrong some of the time, but that's fine. It's good to know about multiple things. Some of the biggest discoveries come from noticing connections between different fields. Develop a habit of working on your own projects. Don't let work meet something other people tell you to do. I think I'm doing good in this one. I think this streaming is proof of that, right? This is my work. Talking to no one at the moment because there are 0 people, but yeah. I was checking a chat, which is YouTube, which is Twitter in this case. I wanted to see if my live stream... No one has liked my live stream post. Okay, one person. But I didn't... Oh, I have 1 people watching on Twitter. Interesting. I'm not reading Twitter chat because I don't know how to do it, or I'm not sure if it even exists. But, yeah. Okay. Let's keep doing this thing. To the person who is right now here, I'm reading advice. Right now I'm reading Paul Graham's Great Work essay, How to Do Great Work essay. And yeah, he's talking about how you should work on your own stuff and not let work mean something that other people tell you to do, right? If you do manage to do great work one day, it will probably be on a project of your own. It may be within some bigger project, but you'll be driving your part of it. What should your projects be? Whatever seems to you excitingly ambitious. I do think that making money by talking to the people in line or reaching to places I can't even imagine is certainly ambitious. Right? It's like not only places I can't even imagine right now, but with the depth that me staying at their house wouldn't be a problem. To that level of depth, right? To be real. And I think that is excitingly ambitious, right? I think it's pretty stupid to think that just by talking online, one will let you stay at your house in the other side of the world. Plus, you will have the means to get there in the first place. Thanks to this. But I think it's possible, somehow. As you grow older and your tastes in tasting project evolves, exciting and important will converge. Hi, what's this? Hi, Zeno. I'm going to call you Zeno. I am currently reading advice by people in general. I found this tweet. Well, Kate Hall's tweet. I follow her. She's a person, and she talked about agency here. And Oisin, which is another person I follow, added it to his advice list, and I'm reading the posts in his advice list. I already learned her Substack post about agency, and I'm now learning Paul Graham's essay on how to do great work, which is essentially advice on how to do great work. And yeah, I am in the middle of talking about what my great work is, right? Which is talking to you right now. What should your project be? Whatever seems excitingly ambitious. At 7, it may seem excitingly ambitious to build huge things out of Lego. Thank you. Amazing. Then at 14, you teach yourself calculus. Till at 21, you're starting to explore unanswered questions in physics, but always preserve excitingness. Yeah, for some timeline, I did like to build things on Lego, and I have proof of it, right? YouTube, Coscorro Drift. If you go to my channel, you will see that I ordering by old. I have been making these kind of stupid videos about stuff. I have made videos building Legos. I have made towers. I've made a tower and crashed it. Right? So to me, video has always been kind of close to me, I think I would say. Maybe this is stupid and not actually real, but I see it now in this way. At 26, I'm 26 now. But always preserve excitingness. And to me, video still is exciting. There's a kind of excited curiosity that's both the engine and the rudder of great work. It will not only drive you, but if you let it have its way, will also show you what to work on. What are you excessively curious about? Curious to a degree that would bore most people? That's what you're looking for. I think this is a nebulous question, and I'm not sure what my answer to this would be, right? Because would other people get bored of what I've been doing, which is talking to no one, basically? Talking to very few people, too little feedback, essentially talking to myself for dozens and dozens of videos, right? And for hours and hours streaming and all of this. I think probably, right? People would have gotten bored by that already. And I still haven't. I still find something to say, I guess. I still have the sense of being curious about, like, I don't know, of what I myself have to say. I find myself curious about myself, right? Which I think is interesting. And I think I'm also curious about what other people think, right? Maybe that's why I'm quiet sometimes, because I don't know. I look to see if someone has written something. Yeah, for example, this. Consistency is key, brother. You'll get notices and find your own fans one day. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm particularly consistent, but I think I am. Keep going. Thank you, Chris. I will. Probably. I can't promise anything, but yeah, probably I will keep going. Once you've found something you're excessively interested in, the next step is to learn enough about it to get you to one of the frontiers of knowledge. This is when I start to get... Yeah, see, this is kind of... Since this is... That's kind of the paradox of the whole thing, right? Talking to people online in this surface level version, right? Because right now, I don't know who you are, any of you two are, Gino or Chris, I don't know you, right? I'm not sure what you like, I'm not sure if we're on the same page, right? Maybe you're kind of watching me read this, but you don't know who Paul Graham is, right? Maybe you don't care about Paul Graham. You don't even know who Paul Graham is. So you are like, why are you reading his advice in the first place, right? Or maybe you don't know him, and you're like, okay, I follow you what you're saying. Or maybe you just look at the advice as is, and you're like, okay, that sounds reasonable, right? But you don't know from the place where it has been written from, right? I don't know. There are like many open questions, right? So what he mentioned of these frontiers of knowledge, right? I don't know shit, to be honest. Yeah, okay. In short terms, Paul Graham is this guy who, basically wrote a couple of great books on programming, on Lisp, which is a programming language that is kind of pretty famous for kind of teaching a lot of computer fundamentals, right? It is kind of one of the fundamental books on computing, and so the language is kind of famous for that. And this guy also is kind of like fucking rich because he is basically the person who made the engine, the incubator company of many of other big startups, right? Which is called Y Combinator. Right? So he's kind of relevant in this sphere of people who are like building these companies, right? And he has these posts of advice and all of these things. But yeah, when you hear him talking about the frontiers of knowledge, right? Right now, that would be probably like the people actually working on artificial intelligence, right? But like not connecting two ChatGPT bot together and putting a front end on it. No, like the people building fucking ChatGPT, right? Those people, or people innovating like over those things. Damn, he deserves to be rich. I learned IT and programming is pretty hard. Yeah, I don't know about this. Deserves to be rich, right? He is. I don't think about deserving in this context. But yeah, he did kind of light the fire of many of these kind of companies. And he was there very early and has been rewarded for that. And he seems to have this kind of thinking. He thinks a lot about these things. And it is, I guess, his job to think about these things. It is his work, right? In this case, this is probably like his frontier of knowledge, right? What he's at the edge of it is kind of finding what all of these companies that rise up have in common and what the ones who don't have in common, right? Which I think is interesting, right? And he does this in this very current thing, right? Where are you watching me from, right? You are watching me from probably an iPhone. Who made that, right? You are watching me on YouTube, right? Yeah, this is YouTube. So who made YouTube? Like, who owns YouTube right now? Right? I don't think Y Combinator is involved in YouTube particularly on all of these things, but it is involved in many of these startups behind, like, I think Stripe, I don't know. Y Combinator. I don't actually know which startups Y Combinator has accelerated. Yeah, Stripe, Airbnb, Coinbase, Cruise, DoorDash, Dropbox, Instacart, Reddit, Stripe, Twitch, right? I'm streaming on YouTube right now, but I have streamed on Twitch as well, right? YC was behind Twitch. They saw something, right? And now YouTube has streaming as well, but because of Twitch probably, right? That's the reason why YouTube has streaming kind of. Not iPhone, man. I am poor. I have a Samsung. Glory to the Chinese people. Samsung is Korean, but I get your point. Okay. Tangent over. Let's keep reading the advice. Well, no, let's start thinking about the frontiers of my knowledge. Like, what am I trying to get at, right? I am not trying to build anything like this, right? I am not trying to build for the moment. But the point of me talking to people online like you is first, like the first point is to get kind of my ideas together, right? And to communicate my ideas better. That's the point of like the practice of talking to people. Right? It is my way of talking to people, right? Because I don't get out the house because I don't have a job. I don't really interact with a lot of people outside of my bubble because I don't have a job. I think that's the main kind of way of interacting, of people interacting. And I don't do things outside of my job because I don't have like money to do it because I don't have a job. So there's that thing, right? So this is kind of my way of interacting with the world that is beyond, right? And I think that the powerful thing is that if you have a job that is in a place, your day-to-day life is basically interacting with people like close to your bubble, right? And I think these tools have the potential, right, to reach further, very far away. I don't know where you are from, where you are glorifying the Chinese people from, or where your IT work is done. If your name is Chris, I would guess US, but it could be wrong. But yeah, like I lost the thread of what I was talking about. I work in hotels. I have to keep interacting with a lot of different people. It gets tiring, TBH. Yeah, I understand that. Do you work like face to face with people? I am in the Middle East. Lol. I'm Arab Christian. Are you in Syria? That's the place where Arab Christians come to mind. I'm not sure if it's an accurate picture. Syria has this fame of being the place where like Arab Christians and Muslims and I think another are like. But yeah, see, for example, when could I have interacted with someone who works in hotels in a Lebanese? Where could I have interacted with a Lebanese person, right? Me in Spain. I'm from Spain, by the way. I mean, there are like Lebanese restaurants around and all of these, right? But I am not going to go to some place, to some Lebanese restaurant and be like, hey, or something, right? It's easier for me to like just turn on the camera and wait until you come in, right? And you tell me where you are from. So yeah, that's what I am trying to do, I guess, right? Trying to learn these small things, right? There was some guy from Italy the other day on stream, right? And I have met Italian people because it's very closer to Spain. So when I have gone abroad, I've met Italian people and all of these things. And even here in Spain, I've met Italian people. But are you like a shy person, Ariel? I think so, yeah. That would probably be an accurate way of saying it. I wouldn't say shy. I would say more quiet, right? I'm not the person who talks when I'm shy. Yeah, I have a lot to talk about because I don't talk in real life to anyone, right? It's over exaggeration. I do talk to people, but way less. Because it's because I don't read the same things that the people around me read, right? I think that's obvious, but I don't know. I think I'm not good at translating, at taking things from that I read and then telling them to other people, right? I'm not good at that, I would say. And I am trying to become better at it. And this is kind of my way of doing it, right? Because it's lower stakes, right? And that gets me used to kind of it being lower stakes, right? It kind of gets the muscles and the training, I could say, the practice going without, I guess, the hurt of feeling that when you are talking to someone you get ignored, right? I have gotten ignored like 7 times today because I have had 13 people watch my stream and you are the only one left right now, right? So there are 12 people who have seen me, listened to me and said, fuck this, I'm leaving, right? But I don't know, I don't give a shit, right? It's part of how it goes. It's a weird, man. I've never was the only viewer in a YouTube live before. I have, I think, a couple of times. Well, the only one, I don't think so. I've seen YouTube lives with very few people, but yeah, I don't think I've ever been like talking as if this was kind of a Skype conversation. But yeah, it is an interesting dynamic. But yeah, what I was saying is that, for example, I don't care that 12 people left, right? Because it's kind of matter of the game. You just expect that people will click, will not know what's going on, will not be captivated by me or something, and will leave. But in real life, when that happens, it's way harder, right? If I were to go to some kind of party or whatever, and I were to talk to someone or something, and they were like they looked at you like, and then they start keeping talking with your friends, like with their friends, that's pretty awkward, and like it's harder to recover from that, right? So I prefer to do it from the comfort of my own home and talking about the things that I actually want, right? Here I have like kind of the leading voice. I am setting the tone of the conversation. I am saying the things that I want first, which is kind of strange because it is talking about the conversation itself, right? But that is how my mind works, right? People in general usually want to talk about sometimes about things, right? And my mind goes to talking about the things quicker. So it is, I don't know, it is more strange, you could say. And this strangeness doesn't have good reception, I would say. Hello, buddy. Hello, buddy. Hello, just enjoy. I was reading advice, but then I got on a tangent. But yeah, I think that's, well, not settled or whatever, but yeah, I can keep reading the advice. Yeah, I went into this tangent because I was reading this advice by Paul Graham called How to Do Great Work, where he talks about how to do great work. Yeah, what are you doing, bro? This. I am reading Paul Graham's essay, How to Do Great Work, of advice in context, right? In the context of reading bits of advice that people have said. My mutuals on Twitter, not mutuals, people I follow on Twitter have said. And where are you from? I am from Spain. I'm from Madrid. And yeah, I was reading this Frontiers of Knowledge stuff, and I was relating it to the fact that I am streaming on Twitch, or not on Twitch, on YouTube, right? I was talking about this fact. You just gained a new subscriber, man. Thank you, Chris. Why are you reading all this? Your purpose? Yeah, kind of my purpose, kind of. I thought it was funny, right? I thought the concept of some guy reading advice is interesting, right? Because you see a lot of people on YouTube give advice, right? And I'm like, why are all these fucking, especially, and you start to see it like to ridiculous extents, right? When you are, I guess, someone who has accomplished something really interesting, right? And, for example, I don't know, someone I watch often is Alex Hormozzi, for example. Oh, then I have advice too. give it to me. I will read it, I guess. Alex Hormozi. This is some guy who has a 100 million company, right? A $100 million company, right? So that does have some authority. And it is interesting to listen to this guy talking about his companies, right? Or whatever. So you are like, okay, if you have some advice to give, I will listen to it to see what you have to say, right? Maybe I'm not going to apply everything because maybe it's not useful advice always, but there is probably like some things to be learned from someone with $0 to someone who with 100 million, right? But then the people who follow his advice, what they do is they give advice also, right? They follow what he does, which is give advice. But if you have $0 and are giving advice on money, like, I am not going to listen to you, right? So in order for people to listen to me, what I'm doing is reading other people's advice. And I thought that would be funny. So I'm doing that. It's that simple, right? I thought it would be funny. That's the short version. I thought it would be pretty funny to read advice that other people have said. Oh, tell me if my advice helps you or not. Advice. Okay. I will. I'm not sure if I should wait, right? I am not this engagement person or whatever. I'm not super engagement focused, but I don't know. I would like to keep it, to at least keep it entertaining. And this is, after all, practice for this. So, yeah, maybe I will read this next paragraph, right? Okay, so after you get to some frontier of knowledge expands fractally, and from a distance its edges look smooth, but once you learn enough to get close to one, they turn out to be full of gaps. The next step is to notice them. This takes some skill, because your brain wants to ignore such gaps in order to make a simple model of the world. Many discoveries have come from asking questions about the things that everyone else took for granted. Right? This is, for example, I guess, what I have just said can be applied to this, right? I have just said that people are giving advice based on mimicking other people who give advice from some different source, right? If you are rich and you give how to get money advice, it makes sense because you are rich and you are giving how to get money advice. But if you are someone poor, you see someone rich giving money advice, you are like, okay, he got rich giving money advice, then it's when the problems start to come in, right? Because it is a way to get richer, but it doesn't make sense for you to give it, right? So it starts to become stupid to do it. So I am reading other people's advice instead. And I think that is the gap that I have found, I would say. Okay, never give up with your life. Life only comes once, and God has given you this chance to prove yourself. Your life must be worth living. Always keep your parents happy. Enjoy your friends. Just be. Yeah, I would say this is decent advice. But it is pretty open, right? And there are some things that are not strictly advice from that, right? Like, your life must be worth living is not advice, right? It is either kind of presuming something or setting some goal or setting something, but not giving kind of the way there or whatever. Always keep your parents happy and enjoy time with your friends. Just be. Yeah. I would say I agree, but yeah. I agree with the advice. And yeah, thank you for saying it. Where are you from, by the way? You asked me where am I from, but I haven't asked you where you are from. Chris is from Lebanon. And I am from Spain, so decent mix of people around here. Okay, I'm going to continue reading. If the answers seem strange, so much the better. Great work often has a tincture of strangeness. You see this from painting to math. It will be affected to try to manufacture it, but if it appears, embrace it. Right? I think this is something as you can see, I am trying to fit what I am already doing, which is this live stream on YouTube, to the advice that I see, right? So this advice says that if the answer seems strange, so much the better. And I think that applies to the live stream, right? This live stream is pretty strange, right? Someone from Spain talking to someone from Lebanon, talking to someone from, I don't know, but from the mention of God, I would say United States. I don't know. I always guess United States by default. But yeah, I think it is a strange thing to do, I would say, right? But it was not manufactured, right? I did not set out. I didn't set some kind of strange goal of like I want to be a famous streamer or something, right? No, I said let's roll with the strangeness. Let's roll with the current situation, right? I am trying to follow Just Enjoy's advice of just be, right? I am trying to just be, right? I am not being like, okay, I am famous or something, right? No, I am not like I want to be famous. What's the path to that? No, I am simply just being, right? I am being like, okay, what am I currently doing right now? Why am I doing it? All of this, and I am trying to be like, does this fit with what Paul Graham of How to Do Great Work is saying? And I think somewhat, right? I'm not sure if he, upon assessment of it, would agree, but to me, it's somewhat resonant. So yeah, I'm going to accept that as a yes. Then, boldly chase outlier ideas, even if other people aren't interested in them. In fact, especially if they aren't, right? So, I would say that the ratio of people not interested and people interested so far is towards no, because I have 2 people here, and I am grateful for that. But there are 17 people total who saw this and were like, Then 15 left, and 2, which are you 2, stayed. So now 3 stayed. If you're excited about some possibility that everyone else ignores, and you have enough expertise to see precisely what they are all overlooking, that's as good as a bet as you'll find. I think this is what right now I am. Right? If I have expertise in something, is in kind of realizing that there are real people behind screens, right? People tend to want social media clout or whatever because of money, right? And I want money too, right? Don't get me wrong. I would fucking love money. But I am not in a rush to get it. And I think that, yeah, kind of talking, relationships, people, like I don't know, I think it's important for people to like be real, right? It's important for people to be real. And I think I am being real on this screen that you are watching right now, right? I think that is important for people to keep doing it. So I am doing it. And maybe you are real with your friends or something. And maybe you are real when you are in church and you are praying to God or whatever, right? And I think it's fucking awesome, right? And this is my way of being real. So I am doing that, right? And I think that people overlook the ways I don't know. It's hard for me to find words for this. This is also what I am trying to do here, to find the words, the right words. I think it is an outlier idea at the moment. I think it will become way less outlier in the future. Okay, 4 steps. Choose a field. Learn enough to get to the frontier. Notice gaps. Explore promising ones. I think I'm not sure what frontier means in this YouTube video making, streaming sense, right? But I would say that I have done at least 3 of these steps. Maybe I would have to explore what frontier means. Steps 2 to 4 will require hard work. Learn enough to get to the frontier. Yes, see, I think this is where I am slacking the most. I'm not sure what frontier means in this definition that I have given myself of being real or whatever, right? I'm not sure what that is. This is how practically everyone who's done great work has done it, from painters to physicists. Oh, sorry. It may not be possible to prove that you have to work hard to do great things, but the empirical evidence is on the scale of the evidence for mortality. That's why it's essential to work on something you're deeply interested in. Interest will drive you to work harder than mere diligence ever could, right? And I don't know, I struggle with the hard work definition, right? What is hard? Is talking to a camera hard? I don't know. For me, talking is kind of hard, right? Thinking is kind of hard. There are other things that are hard, right? I tweeted this before. Something like, I think 2024 is the year I increase my power level over a big number of domains, but in small amounts. Money, music, coding, /building, writing, videos, reading. Because I'm spread so thin, probably not a lot of each, so I may start 2025 still feeling like a 27-year-old loser though. Right? And this is what I think I'm talking about when I don't know if I'm working hard. Because, for example, here I mentioned some of these things. For example, playing music. For me, playing music is much harder than making video, than streaming and talking to a camera, right? Writing actually comes easy to me. But writing in my way, not writing well. Coding or building, right? Doing these things, like sitting, it's hard to define hard work in this sense, right? What is hard work? What is not hard work? To me, there are hard parts in stuff, right? The hard part of talking to this camera is that my voice starts to hurt, for example. I forgot to bring water and my throat is starting to hurt. That's one hard thing. Another thing is that being cringe online is hard for me afterwards, right? Right now, I don't care a lot that you are watching me, right? But when I go to my YouTube and I do this, and I go to here and I click the videos thing, I'm like 11 views, 8 views, 17 views, 14, 16, 13, 13, 10, 11. This one has a 100, 16, 31, right? I see all of these low view counts and I'm like, okay, nobody gives a shit about what I have to say, right? And that is tough in a sense, right? That does have a sense of hardness, right? But it is, and having uploaded all of these fucking dumb videos does have a sense of hardness in it, but it also is a relatively comfortable process and streamlined process, I would say, right? I have this setup here of this camera here, I have my little lights here, I have my mic all set up so that it is easy to do it, right? So hard work is interesting. It's an interesting definition, right? That's why I don't like the word hard work. But yeah, afterwards, the interest will drive you to work harder than mere diligence ever could. I think that's where it comes together, right? Because I can't define what hard work is according to some ethereal thing, right? Or according to my own frictions, right? If I have a lot of friction I would say reading is hard for me, right? But I read this book this year, right? Well, last year, 2023, sorry. I read this book and it's fucking long as hell, right? And it was tough to read at some moments because it is a dense book. and it describes dense events in a dense way. But is reading an entertainment book hard work? I mean, it is fiction, it is entertainment, right? It's different, right? Is watching Killers of a Flower Moon a movie that lasts 3.5 fucking hours hard work? Like, it's still a fucking movie, right? I don't know. Is being on TikTok for 4 hours hard work? No, but also if you give your grandpa the thing, he will be like, "What the fuck is this? Why are these kids screaming right to my head and doing these little dances?" Right? It's like everything is hard work for some people, right? It's like, should your grandpa be on TikTok? Because right, it all depends, right? If he wants to be a viral TikTok star, then dance doing like you have to know what to dance, right? Before dance, you can't just you can actually do whatever the fuck you want, but it is like there is some sense in which doing research is hard work in that sense, right? I don't know. It is a word that is loaded in my case. You guys can say whatever the fuck you want, by the way, in the chat. I'm looking at it like every time, every some amount of time. Sorry, with a certain frequency. Okay, let's keep reading. The three most powerful motives are curiosity, delight, and the desire to do something impressive. Sometimes they converge, and that combination is the most powerful of all. This is where I don't know where I sit here, right? I think that I am motivated by curiosity, right? I am motivated by curiosity of what I myself have to say, right? That is my main motivator. That is the thing that drives this streaming. I want to know what the fuck do I have to say, right? Because I have this feeling of wanting to say something, but being quiet, more or less. And this is kind of what this endeavor is for. But I am also curious of what the intersection of what I have to say and the world in general, right? That's why I speak in English instead of speaking in Spanish, right? I could speak in Spanish and I would still have a lot of access to the world. But I don't know, I feel like there is a certain sense in which me speaking in English kind of has some access to a different side of the world, right? And I am curious about that as well. Then delight. I don't know. There is something that I find interesting about conversation and talking, right? Or even monologue in this case, right? There is something delightful about monologuing, about, just saying random shit, I would say, right? There is something that I do like to do a lot is watch podcasts, right? What are podcasts? Just two fucking people talking, right? There is delight in that. And sometimes I also watch podcasts of like this, I don't know, Madeline RG type people, right? Madeline? This girl is just some girl who does these podcasts of 30 minutes talking herself to just a camera, right? Just like I'm doing. I watch these things too, right? I think there is delight in hearing these perspectives from people from all over the world and all of these things, right? For you, right? For the person who is watching, I think there is some aspect of delight in this, right? Oh, fuck. You were saying things and I didn't read them. Fuck. Sorry. 53. So I have been 5 minutes since reading without reading chat because it didn't load. Sorry. Okay. Chris 2023. My question is, why are you reading all this? Do you think you will benefit from this? Or do you have a goal? I'm going to read them first, then I'm going to see if some of them have overlap, and then I will answer back again. Paimon Sprinkle. Welcome, by the way. Many of these self-help essentially say the same thing. Yeah, I agree. I think what people need to do is finding someone they are genuinely good at and keep going forward. Even if people are good at something, they don't necessarily may like doing it. Or maybe it doesn't earn them the life they want. I don't want to be rude, but I think the reason you have so little views is because maybe the content is not entertaining enough. You could also have better thumbnails for the videos, and also the videos are too long. People want videos like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. For me personally, I've leaned more to rather do something I think I might not like doing, but I may be good at, and it might earn me the life I want. Yeah, these are some interesting points, right? I think that to answer Chris's question of my question is, why are you reading all this? Do you think you will benefit from this? Or do you have a goal? This is kind of nebulous in my head, right? I'm not sure. Like, do I have goals for my life? Yes. Like, well, goals. Do I have things that I want, right? Yes, and I, by the way, I have talked at length about the things that I want. I have a list, one of these playlists of things that I want, about things I want. Dream Life. It's a playlist, and it has 4 1-hour long videos, and this 20-minute video that mentions it briefly, right? Yes, I have things that I want. I have a lot of things that I want. I have things that I would like to accomplish. There are things that I would like to do. There are places I would like to be. There are people I would like to meet. Right? There are people I would like to talk to. There are people I find interesting. And there are also the unknown unknowns. Right? There are also a lot of things that I don't know, which maybe there are people that I don't know that I would like to meet even more. Right? And all this, do you think you will benefit from this? I think I will benefit from this because I think the process of finding what I want, I don't know. I think this is kind of the approach that I have taken to finding the things that I want, right? Who the fuck sits and talks to a camera about the things that they want? I don't know. Like, I don't know. No one, probably. Is it because no one cares? I don't know. Right? There are like a lot of things that I don't know. So I don't know if there is literally 0 people who care about what I have to say about the things that I want, right? It's like these are things that are hard to know. So in this uncertainty, I choose to post them to the commons for everyone to see, right? In case there is someone who finds something for it, and also because it is documenting my process of finding it, right? So I do think that the purpose of this being up is that if I ever find what I want, I will have all of this proof of me not knowing, right? So the story that I can tell by having all of these things up is much more powerful, right? Because you will believe that I didn't know what the fuck I wanted, right? Or when I knew what the fuck I wanted and I get it, it's much more powerful, right? And okay, let's and yeah, self-help. I had a video planned on self-help, but there were some videos that I wanted to make, like that I wanted to include in my self-help video that got taken down, and I emailed the person who made them, but she didn't reply to my email, so I don't know what happened with that. But yeah, I do have thoughts on self-help because I have read a lot of self-help books, right? And I think, yeah, I have here in my table, for example, these Gary Vee books, and Gary Vee, I think, counts as self-helpy, I would say. And yeah, I Paimon Pinky. Well, let's see what you have said before. For me personally, this interface is atrocious. For me personally. Well, look, I can do this. I can pop it out, I think. Here. This is what I'm seeing, right? I think it's more, for me personally, I lean to rather do something that I might not like doing, but I might be do, and it might earn me the life that I want. Yeah, I understand that, right? I think this is something that I respect. That I have friends who do that as well, right? But I think that is where I think this is something where I would say I am ambitious on, right? I am kind of adamant on joining these three things together, right? I am adamant for some reason. I believe that for me, it's possible. For me personally, right? I do believe that it is possible that I like doing it. I get good at it. I'm not sure if I will start being good at it, but I will get good at it and that it will earn me the life that I want. I think that this is possible. But see, the question of it might earn me the life that I want requires knowing what the life that you want is, right? So if I don't even know what the fuck is the life that I want, I cannot kind of work towards it, right? I cannot be like, okay, I don't like doing this, but I am good at it, so I will do it, right? I can't even take that step. I can't make the decision until I find the thing that I want. I think it's more people attention spans. Yeah, this is when I was talking about the shorts, right? Shorts and more views than well-made half-an-hour videos even. Yeah, I don't think that I earn more views. Okay, that is true. But I think when you look at the metrics that actually matter, right? When you look at stuff like money that they earn, for example, right? How much do advertisers value these videos? You will see that shorts, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to make them besides, I guess, filtering, right? They are, I guess, good filters, but they are not good revenue streams, I would say. If we're talking about money, I use money as a proxy of interest, but I do think that it is hard for someone to make short form content that is really compelling, right? I kind of appreciate you doing this, though at one point of my life I thought books that give advice could make me big-brained when solving any problem in my life. Yeah, I don't know. I think there is value in reading books that give advice or whatever, but... And I think they can become a part of you, right? I think it is good it is good that people... But the thing is that I want people to be real, right? If you make a book, be real, right? It doesn't even have to be a good book, right? If you are bad and you are real, the book is going to be bad as well, right? But at least make it real. That's my problem, right? When he said something about the YouTube videos, about my YouTube videos, and when he gave me this honest advice, and I appreciate the honest advice, right? I like honest advice. And in fact, when I was reading this advice, there is the first example that I was reading was something that said this seek real feedback thing, right? So thank you, Chris, for the honest advice, by the way. But where is the chat? Oh, okay, it's here. Yeah, as you see here, like in all of these videos, you could say that they are bad, right? But because I am bad making videos, right? That's the problem. Like, I don't mind. Like, I also have better thumbnails, you could say, right? Like, I tried to make more effort, put more effort in my thumbnails. But why? It's like, why would I bring people in for something that is bad, right? I prefer not bringing anyone in to the bad things, right? And the ones who are brought in kind of have this expectation of, okay, it's going to be bad, right? That's my strategy right now. It resulted in me taking advice too literally, and when they don't help, I just think, yes, I'm just a lost cause. Okay. Yeah. This is about the books that give advice that could make me big brain. Yeah. See, yeah, this is a thing of when this happens, when they don't help, and you get that feeling. My theory is that this is because the books are written wrong, right? It's not just that they are bad books, or maybe even they are even good books, but that they are written in a way that is kind of too authoritative, right? And I think that's something that happens in YouTube a lot, right? In YouTube, in order for you to bring someone in, you have to be authoritative, right? You have to be like 5 things you are doing wrong in 2024, right? You have to do these kind of tricks. And I'm like, the tricks, you can use tricks, don't get me wrong, but you have to make sure that the ground is good, right? If you use tricks to pull me to your garden, make sure it's a really beautiful garden, right? Make sure it's a good garden. If it's a bad garden, don't use tricks, right? Just simply, like, you can use tricks for the better. You can use tricks that make something look sketchy and then bring you to a good garden. That's a good trick. But a bad trick is a trick that makes your garden look great and then you enter and it's shit. I have books that have helped me motivated. However, not everything is as long as you do this, you will achieve whatever you want. Yeah. I think there are like, I could talk more about this because I've thought about what I want a lot, right? I think that there is also a sense in which whatever you want is a tricky sentence, right? Because like when I read this, right, it's like, okay, so if I want a private jet, like if someone writes a book about manifestation and it's like, manifest your rich life, right? And you're like, okay, so if I read a book about manifesting my rich life and I manifest it, I can fly private all over the time. And it's like, it's tricky, right? It's like, no, obviously not. But it is also true that sometimes you do have to know what you want in order to achieve what you want, right? I don't know, it's tricky. Okay. Where are you from, by the way? Paimons Pinky. I'm going to look at your channel here. I don't know who your profile picture is. Okay. I'm from India, sir. Where in India? There's nothing on my channel. I used to run an Instagram page about engineering, and yeah, and we had a lot of followers from Pune and from Hyderabad, I think. Kerala. I'm not good at geography. Is that the south? I think it's the south, right? Yeah. We had a lot of followers from Pune and Hyderabad, which center. So, because I think there are kind of engineering schools there. Cochin. This is probably the Spanish name for whatever the name of your city is. Yo, what the fuck? Tiruvannapuram. Alright. Interesting. This is another thing that I like. For example, I like geography a lot. And I like traveling and all of these places. Haha, no, it's the English name for Kochi. Yeah. As it's written, that's how it would be pronounced in Spanish. Cochin.
Kochi. Kochi.
Kochi, I guess. What's this language, man? Malabar. Malayalam. This is crazy. That's what Britishers started calling it when they came here. Malayalam. Yeah, I think I watched a video in Malayalam because I followed a girl who, let's see if I can find it. Look, Corns, this guy made a video. And he went to, I think, that region. Yeah, see, he hiked through India. And I think he met one person who was from there. I think this girl is from Kerala. Okay. This girl was from there, and she spoke Malayalam. If I see the subtitles, okay, I want to check out my statistics. Okay. 2 people. Yeah, see, this is the language, right? I saw it on this channel. Okay, I am going to cut the stream, by the way. Thank you to the 2 people who are here until the end. Thank you to the people who have been here. Chris, Just Enjoy, Paimon, especially. And yeah, if you can follow me on Twitter, even if you're curious about me, I mostly tweet stuff, and I was also streaming on Twitter. This is where I post most things. You can always subscribe if you want. If you're curious about what I have to say, I have talked a lot about it on my YouTube channel here, right? I have a lot of videos. You can just scroll and see, oh, okay, this sounds interesting. Oh, okay, this video about using ChatGPT maybe is interesting, and it's also short. I will watch it. You can do that on my channel. This is a possibility. You don't have to, but you can do it. Right? And yeah, thank you for being here. It was good. It's always good to have people. The main purpose is for me to talk to myself, but if I can talk to other people, right, that's even better for me. So yeah, thank you and goodbye. Also you can subscribe or whatever. Yeah, you can subscribe to. I live stream at this hour more or less, right? So from 4:30 to 6, more or less. 5 to 6 sometimes. And thank you for subscribing if you do. Goodbye. Now I'm actually closing OBS.